One tiny splash, and suddenly the entire fandom couldn't stop talking about Taehyung and Jungkook. During BTS's Munich Day 2 concert, Taehyung casually poured water on Jungkook while they were walking across the stage. It looked like nothing more than playful teasing, until Jungkook's reaction changed everything. Instead of getting even or walking away, he responded in a way that left thousands of ARMYs emotional, calling it one of the sweetest Taekook moments they had ever witnessed. Was it just another funny concert interaction? Or did it reveal something much deeper about their bond? Stay until the end, because this heartwarming moment is making fans cry. Once you see Jungkook's reaction, you'll understand why. At first, it looked like nothing more than another playful BTS concert moment. As the members walked across the stage during Munich Day 2, Taehyung casually splashed water onto Jungkook without any warning. The crowd immediately erupted with laughter, expecting Jungkook to chase him back or splash him in return. But that's not what happened. Jungkook paused for a brief second. Instead of looking annoyed, he turned toward Taehyung with a soft smile that fans noticed instantly. There was no dramatic reaction, no attempt to get revenge, just a quiet expression that many ARMYs described as incredibly warm and genuine. Within minutes, clips of the moment spread across social media. Fans couldn't stop replaying that tiny exchange, saying it perfectly captured the comfort and trust the two had built over so many years. Many commented that sometimes the smallest interactions reveal the deepest friendships, and this was one of those moments that didn't need words to feel meaningful. For countless ARMYs, it wasn't about the water at all. It was about the way Jungkook responded so naturally, as if moments like these had become second nature between them. That simple smile made fans unexpectedly emotional, reminding them how much the members had grown together through every stage of their journey. But the story didn't end there. Just seconds later, Jungkook did something that made the entire audience scream even louder, and many fans are calling it the sweetest part of the whole interaction. As the crowd was still reacting to the unexpected splash, all eyes shifted to Jungkook. For a brief moment, it looked like he was planning something. He glanced toward Taehyung, smiled to himself, and slowly started moving in his direction. The audience could already sense that another unforgettable moment was about to happen. Instead of turning the playful prank into a water fight, Jungkook surprised everyone with a completely different response. His body language stayed relaxed, and the smile on his face never disappeared. Taehyung laughed as if he already knew Jungkook wouldn't take it seriously, making the interaction feel effortless and natural. That tiny exchange lasted only a few seconds, but it instantly became one of the most replayed moments from Munich Day 2. Fans pointed out how comfortable they looked around each other, saying that no words were needed to understand the connection between them. Others described it as the kind of friendship that can only be built after spending years performing, traveling, and growing together. Videos of the moment quickly spread online, with thousands of comments focusing on the same detail: Jungkook's calm reaction. Many fans admitted they expected playful revenge, but what they saw instead felt even more memorable. The interaction wasn't loud or dramatic. It was simple, genuine, and filled with the kind of ease that longtime friends naturally share. But just when everyone thought the moment was over, Jungkook made one final move toward Taehyung that sent the entire stadium into even louder cheers. And that's the part fans are still talking about the most. The atmosphere inside the stadium had completely changed. What started as a playful splash of water was now becoming one of those unforgettable concert moments that fans would replay over and over again. Every camera seemed to follow Taehyung and Jungkook, waiting to see who would make the next move. Jungkook kept walking at first, pretending that nothing unusual had happened. His expression remained calm, but there was a small smile he couldn't quite hide. It was the kind of smile that appeared naturally, almost as if he had already accepted Taehyung's playful personality long ago. Meanwhile, Taehyung glanced at him from the corner of his eye, looking amused while trying not to laugh too much. The audience noticed every little detail. The distance between them wasn't large, but the anticipation inside the stadium felt enormous. Thousands of fans watched silently for a brief moment, wondering whether Jungkook was secretly planning the perfect comeback. Concerts had always been full of unexpected interactions between members, and everyone knew that anything could happen when BTS felt relaxed on stage. Instead of rushing toward Taehyung, Jungkook slowed his pace. That single decision immediately caught everyone's attention. He wasn't acting like someone who had just been pranked. There was no frustration, no exaggerated reaction, and no sign that he wanted to interrupt the performance. He simply looked at Taehyung with an expression that fans later described as incredibly soft. It lasted only a second, but cameras captured it clearly enough for ARMYs to replay it countless times afterward. Online discussions exploded almost immediately. Some fans said the moment reminded them of how naturally comfortable the two had become after spending years together. Others pointed out that they didn't even need to speak. Their body language alone seemed to tell the story. Every smile, every glance, and every tiny reaction felt effortless rather than staged. As the music continued echoing through the venue, Taehyung briefly looked back again. This time, he seemed to be checking Jungkook's reaction, almost wondering if the playful splash had gone too far. Instead of answering with words, Jungkook simply smiled again. That tiny smile became one of the most talked about frames from the entire concert. Fans began sharing screenshots across social media, zooming in on every expression and comparing different camera angles. Many admitted they had watched the clip dozens of times because there was something comforting about how naturally the moment unfolded. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't planned. It simply happened. The more people watched, the more details they noticed. Taehyung's laughter looked completely genuine, while Jungkook's response carried an unexpected sense of warmth. Neither of them seemed concerned about the thousands of people watching. For a few seconds, it almost felt like two longtime friends forgetting they were standing in front of a massive crowd. That authenticity was exactly what touched so many fans. Years of performing together had created a level of trust that couldn't easily be explained. Moments like these weren't memorable because of grand gestures. They became unforgettable because they felt real. Even the members nearby appeared to notice the interaction, smiling as they continued enjoying the concert. The playful energy spread across the stage, making the atmosphere feel even lighter. The audience responded with louder cheers, sensing that they were witnessing another spontaneous BTS memory. But there was still one question everyone kept asking. Would Jungkook finally get his revenge? The cameras stayed locked on both of them as they continued moving around the stage. Every step increased the suspense. Every glance between them made the audience even louder. Then Jungkook quietly reached toward something beside him. And what happened next became the moment that fans would talk about long after the Munich concert had ended. Jungkook's hand slowly reached toward a nearby bottle of water, and that single movement was enough to send the audience into another wave of cheers. Fans immediately assumed they knew what was coming. After all, the perfect revenge seemed inevitable. Taehyung had started the playful prank, so surely Jungkook was about to finish it. Even Taehyung appeared to notice. For a split second, he looked over his shoulder with a grin that almost seemed to say, "Asterisk, here we go." Asterisk. Instead of running away, he stayed exactly where he was, laughing as if he had already accepted whatever was about to happen. The anticipation inside the stadium became almost unbearable. Thousands of phones remained pointed toward the two of them. Every fan wanted to capture the exact second Jungkook finally responded. The music continued playing, but for many people in the audience, the real performance had become this unscripted interaction unfolding right before their eyes. Jungkook took another step, then another. He closed the distance between himself and Taehyung, still holding the bottle. The crowd grew even louder with every movement, convinced that the long-awaited splash was only seconds away. But Jungkook paused. Instead of immediately pouring the water, he looked directly at Taehyung. Their eyes met for a brief moment, and both of them started smiling before either one made another move. It was a tiny exchange that lasted no more than a heartbeat, yet somehow it felt much longer to everyone watching. Fans later described that glance as the real highlight of the moment. There was no need for words, just two people who seemed to understand each other without saying anything at all. The audience erupted again, not because something dramatic had happened, but because everyone could feel how natural the interaction was. It wasn't rehearsed. It wasn't meant to create a viral clip. It simply reflected the comfortable friendship they had built over years of sharing the same stage. Around them, the other members continued interacting with the crowd, smiling as they noticed the playful tension. The concert never stopped, but for a brief moment, all attention remained fixed on Taehyung and Jungkook. Social media would later explode with different interpretations. Some fans believed Jungkook intentionally delayed his response just to tease Taehyung back. Others felt he simply wanted to enjoy the moment instead of rushing into another prank. Many agreed on one thing. The interaction felt incredibly genuine. As Jungkook finally lifted the bottle slightly, screams echoed throughout the stadium once again. Taehyung instinctively laughed, raising one shoulder as if preparing for the splash everyone expected. The audience held its breath. And then Jungkook did something that almost nobody predicted. That unexpected choice instantly changed the mood once again, leaving both the crowd and millions of viewers online talking about the moment long after the concert had ended. What Jungkook chose to do next became the detail that many ARMYs called the sweetest part of the entire Munich Day 2 interaction. Instead of splashing the water back at Taehyung, Jungkook slowly lowered the bottle. For a brief second, nobody seemed to understand what had just happened. The audience had expected playful revenge, another burst of laughter, and perhaps a chase across the stage. Instead, Jungkook simply smiled, shook his head slightly, and continued walking beside Taehyung as if silently saying, "Asterisk, not this time." Asterisk. That unexpected decision made the crowd cheer even louder. Taehyung looked genuinely surprised. He glanced at the bottle in Jungkook's hand, then back at Jungkook himself, letting out another laugh that quickly turned into a bright smile. It was almost as if he had been preparing to get soaked, only to realize Jungkook had chosen something completely different. Sometimes, the moments people remember the most are the ones that never happen. Fans later said that was exactly what made this interaction so unforgettable. Jungkook had every opportunity to return the prank, but he didn't. The playful tension dissolved into quiet laughter, making the entire exchange feel even more meaningful. From every corner of the stadium, phones continued recording. Nobody wanted to miss what came next. Taehyung lightly nudged Jungkook's shoulder while laughing, seemingly relieved that he had escaped the expected revenge. Jungkook answered with another smile, one that looked effortless and sincere. Their conversation couldn't be heard over the music and the cheering crowd, but their expressions spoke loudly enough for fans to create countless discussions afterward. Within hours, videos from different camera angles flooded social media. Some clips focused on Taehyung's playful expression before the splash. Others zoomed in on Jungkook's reaction afterward. But the clips receiving the most attention all captured the same quiet moment. The second Jungkook chose not to splash the water back. Thousands of comments described it as surprisingly wholesome. Many fans wrote that the interaction reflected the comfort they had developed after years of standing on the same stage together. There was no need to prove anything. There was no need to escalate the joke. The playful prank had already served its purpose by making both of them laugh. The more people replayed the footage, the more tiny details they discovered. Taehyung's eyes seemed to follow Jungkook's every movement, almost waiting to see what he would do next. Jungkook, meanwhile, never appeared bothered. His relaxed expression remained unchanged, making the entire exchange feel incredibly natural. That quiet understanding between them became the real story. Not the water, not the prank, but the ease with which they shared the moment. Even fans who had attended countless BTS concerts admitted there was something special about this interaction. It wasn't the biggest moment of the night, nor was it the loudest. Yet somehow, it became one of the most unforgettable. For many ARMYs, this wasn't simply a playful exchange between two BTS members. It was a reminder that the strongest friendships are often revealed through the smallest gestures. No dramatic words were needed. No grand performance was required. Just a splash of water, a warm smile, and a quiet decision not to seek revenge. Those few seconds spoke louder than anything else that happened that night. Long after the Munich Day 2 concert ended, fans were still replaying the clip, sharing screenshots, and discussing every smile and every glance. What began as a simple prank had become one of the most talked about moments of the concert. Not because of what happened, but because of what didn't happen. Sometimes, choosing kindness over payback creates the most unforgettable memory of all. And perhaps that's why this brief interaction between Taehyung and Jungkook continues to touch so many people. It wasn't about the water. It was about the friendship behind it.